Welcome to Capital Catch-Up. I'm Victor.
And I'm Lainey. Today we have a full slate of Senate and House legislation, a handful of presidential nominations, a committee meeting notice, and the latest congressional records to walk through.
Let's start with the bills. First up, Senate Bill 4154, the Research and Oversight of AI in Courts Act of 2026. It directs studies and oversight mechanisms for artificial intelligence use within the federal judiciary.
Senate Bill 257 aims to improve the resilience of critical supply chains. The text says it's for other purposes as well, but the core focus is strengthening supply chain security.
Senate Bill 545 would prohibit certain uses of xylazine, a veterinary tranquilizer that has appeared in illicit drug markets.
Senate Bill 645 seeks to award a Congressional Gold Medal collectively to the individuals and communities who volunteered or donated items to the North Platte Canteen in Nebraska during World War II from December 1941 to April 1946.
Senate Bill 753 would amend the Export-Import Bank Act of 1945 to exclude certain financing from the default rate calculation used to determine when the bank's lending cap applies.
Senate Bill 864 would amend Title Hannatanch of the Public Health Service Act to direct financial assistance toward the cost-sharing requirements of health insurance plans.
Senate Bill 894 proposes to amend the Religious Freedom Restoration Act of 1993, stating its intent is to protect civil rights and prevent meaningful harm to third parties.
Moving to the House side, House Bill 2159 is titled the Count the Crimes to Cut Act. The title suggests a focus on crime counting methodologies, but the full text isn't in our source.
Senate Bill 1088 would allow the memorial to commemorate the sacrifice and service of women who worked on the home front during World II to be placed on the National Mall.
Senate Bill 1308 would modify the criteria for approving certain independent study programs under the Department of Veterans Affairs Educational Assistance Programs, specifically in Title 38 of the U.S. Code.
Senate Bill 1383 would establish a Veterans Advisory Committee on Equal Access.
Senate Bill 1532 looks to amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to change the railroad track maintenance credit.
Senate Bill 1919 would create a domestic cotton consumption credit, also through an amendment to the Internal Revenue Code.
Senate Bill 1878 would require an interactive online dashboard to improve public access to information about grant funding for mental health and substance use disorder programs.
Finally, Senate Bill 1892 would clarify that amounts from declinations be deposited in the Crime Victims Fund and would provide additional, temporary deposits into that fund.
That covers all 15 bills. Now let's turn to the nominations.
The first nomination we have is Evan Rickie of the Virgin Islands, nominated to be a judge for the District Court of the Virgin Islands for a 10-year term, filling the seat vacated by Wilma Antoinette Lewis.
Next, Edward Epler of Connecticut is nominated to be Chief Financial Officer of the Department of Transportation, succeeding Victoria Marie Beecher-Wasmer, who resigned.
Kathleen S. Lane of Montana is nominated to be a United States District Judge for the District of Montana, taking the seat of Susan P. Waters, who is retiring.
Cara Marie Westerkamp of Virginia is nominated to be a judge of the United States Court of International Trade, filling the vacancy left by Stephen A. Vaden's resignation.
Sharia Akins Clark of South Carolina is nominated to be a United States District Judge for the District of South Carolina, succeeding Robert Bryan Harwell, who retired.
The remaining nominations lists do not include position descriptions in our source. They are simply labeled no description. Those nominees are the individual referenced in nomination 119-893, 119-892, 119-894, 119-897, 119-896, 119-895, 119-899, 119-898, 119-686, and 119-595.
Moving on to committee activity, there is a meeting titled Various Measures scheduled for March 26, 2026 at 2:00 p.m. Coordinated Universal Time. The committee name isn't specified in the notice we have.
Finally, the congressional record shows two recent daily issues. Volume 172, number 56, dated March 25, 2026, and Volume 172, number 55, dated March 24, 2026. Those records contain the proceedings, debates, and notices from those legislative days.
To sum up, the bills before us touch on AI oversight, supply chain resilience, substance use regulation, veterans affairs, tax policy, healthcare cost sharing, and commemorative honors. The nominations fill key judicial and executive posts, though many lack publicly supplied details in our source. The committee will be considering various measures later this week, and the congressional record offers a verbatim account of recent floor action.
That's all for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us on Capital Catch-Up. Stay informed, stay engaged, and we'll see you next time.